Hello everyone, and welcome to a new week. This is section 12.3 on forests and forestry. I have one of my favorite shirts on right now. Never trust an atom. Why not? They make up everything. That's what it says. They make up everything. It's kind of a funny shirt, but atoms do make up everything. Atoms make up molecules. Molecules make up cells. Cells make up the components of every living thing out there, even trees and forests. So it's all related to biology. Let's get started on 12.3. Introduction of forestry. A forest is a dense collection of trees with a thick top layer called a canopy. Forest is a little bit different than woods or woodlands, because woods allow a lot more sunlight in than a forest does. Now, I would venture to bet that when we think of the woods, we do think of a forest, but the reality is a forest is a place where you can look up and you don't really see a lot of light. And there's not a lot of places like that around Florida. If you want to go to a forest, you typically have to go a little bit more into the mountainous states, even into Georgia. But anyways, there's two types of forests. First type is an old-growth forest. An old-growth forest is at least 150 years old, and it's a forest that's not disturbed by mankind. So there's no housing projects, there's no deforestation through lumber, no anything. Secondary forest is one that has trees at about the same age, because someone planted them. So companies do this. They will plant a tree and then move on to the next forest, and then a couple years down the line they'll go back to that original forest where the trees are now fully grown, and they'll chop those down and replant them and then keep going. Forest stops growing at a tree line, a place which marks a point in the land which a tree cannot grow. And tree lines happen for all sorts of reasons. Sometimes the soil's too sandy, so the line between maybe an oasis and a desert where a tree just can't grow anymore. Or sometimes the tree's just too cold. So there's a point where it's a little bit warmer, then there's a point where it's just far too cold for the tree to grow. So tree line can happen for a couple different reasons. Here are the forest regions. You have here the boreal forest. You have the central hardwoods. These run through much of the Midwest, as well as parts of the East Coast. You have northeastern section. Here, the northeastern section runs through parts of West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and New York, up into Canada. And the main one we're used to seeing is the southeast forests. And maybe if we have ventured down all the way to the Florida Keys, we have seen some subtropical forests. But the southeast forests are pretty unique, and we'll talk about them in a second. The northern forest covers most of Alaska. Evergreens dominate this cold climate. So you're going to see a lot of evergreens or gymnosperms. And they're going to be stacked one next to the other. There's not too much you can grow up here. You have to be a pretty firm and hard and hardened tree to grow in this northern forest. You have southern forest. This looks kind of like something you might find in our backyards, right? No, probably not. But this up here looks a lot like Florida. And maybe you might see some of this along a Georgia highway, maybe Tennessee. This is a lot of kudzu that covers a lot of these bushes. And this looks a lot like Florida too, with overgrown grass and some taller trees here. These look like yellow pine. Can't really tell what these are, but anyway. They contain varieties of pine, which is also an evergreen tree. Southern forest stretches from Delaware to Florida, west to Oklahoma. Pacific forest. This is unique. This is the tall redwoods and sequoias with spruce fir more of California, Oregon, and Washington. These forests are where we get most of our paper products, so the test that I'm going to be printing you at some point soon. The test is going to be printed on paper product probably from California, where they went through and just decimated a forest, but they replant, and we're going to talk about why in, I believe, the next section. But the paper products are obtained from these specific forests. Who owns a forest? Well, good question. Forestry studies the science of managing and studying forests and related natural resources. Forests in the UA are split between private, public, and corporate ownership. So I think it's about 30-30-20, 30 private, 30 public, 20 corporate. No one owns all the forests in the U.S. There's about 123 million acres of protected forest in the United States. The protected forest is publicly owned forest. The Forest Service monitors and protects our lands from fire, poachers, and deforestation. So you can see here what looks like some poachers. Now, I don't know if they're real poachers or not, if they just dressed up for the gig. And you can see this guy with the chainsaw here. Well, why on earth would they want to destroy parts of the forest or take parts of the forest? Well, there's wood that is very, very valuable. That's protected wood. And, of course, these poachers don't have to even pay to clean up. And sometimes they just want to do it just to cause a problem. You know, this is the oldest tree in North America. Well, let's go destroy it. Sounds like something a wild teenager might do. But anyway, these poachers do poach and get particularly more rare wood from trees. And I have a link here that I'm going to put in the description. The reason is because it's not going to allow me to watch it on It's not going to allow me to watch it on this while you're watching. It's not going to play the sound. But anyway, I'd like you to watch this. We are the Forest Service, and there's a whole lot of different jobs that are related to the U.S. Forest Service. There's forest cops. There are people who are needed to go on like dirt bikes or ATVs to monitor certain things like fires, and there's electricians, and there are management positions, and there's even computer scientists that are needed by the U.S. Forest Service. It's a very cool YouTube video, so I'd suggest you watch it in the link below. Maybe one of you one day can be part of the U.S. Forest Service. If you are, you'll have to invite me out on your ATV and show me around the forests of wherever you're at, whether it be Florida or somewhere else. Well, anyways, hopefully that answers who owns a forest, and we'll get picked back up with 12.4 on standing giants tomorrow. Please do section review 12.3, page 449, numbers 1 through 5 for homework, and you guys have a good day. See ya.